I want you two on camera more than me.
Why?
Because I said so.
Okay.
I think this is the first daylight cinema trip we've done since I got these polarizing lenses. This is why I'm wearing sunglasses.
It's summertime in Northern Ireland.
Which means a lot of sun, not massive amounts of heat, but it's more heat than we're used to, so we're all like...
And I'm in a button-down shirt.
This is weird. We look so lit up. Hi,
Hello.
everybody.
You have to edit it and post. It has to be day for night.
You want to try and change that?
Oh no, keep it bright for summertime.
I can do, what do you call it? Luma key, which will basically remove all the brightness and replace it with black, if you want.
No, I vote for summertime sadness.
Okay. Or might make it look like it's an alien planet. I'll do something interesting anyway.
We saw the not-so-amazing Spider-Man 2. It was not so amazing. And fuck your audio, we're going to have the AC on because we're dying of heat. My car is black, therefore it is an oven.
You know, Sam Raimi made a lot of questionable decisions in Spider-Man. You know, Tobey Maguire.
Tobey Maguire?
Not casting Alicia Witt as Mary Jane Watson and Tobey Maguire. But at least he gave us a decent and a good Spider-Man film before he threw a bunch of shit that just was a disjointed large mess that should have been told over several stories involving things that he clearly didn't give a shit about. Mark Webb decided to throw us a curveball by skipping out the good one altogether and going straight from decent to Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, and it pretty much was Spider-Man 3. You got the Hobgoblin, you got the non-corporeal villain.
Well, Green Goblin. Green Goblin 2.
No, Hobgoblin.
The Hobgoblin in the comics was not Harry Osborn.
Really?
It was Green Goblin 2. Although I would have thought in Spider-Man 3 they should have called him the Hobgoblin because it differentiates him from his father, but in the comics, no.
Yeah. I always get confused. I'm running off the Super Spider-Man TV series.
Okay, well, maybe I'm wrong as well. Spider-Man's not one of my favourite characters.
Nor mine. Oh, I did like Civil War.
When he had his metal suit. Okay. At the start of this, it took me a little bit to work out what this was reminding me of, and overall, it is a lot like Spider-Man 3. But at the start, you had like the randomly placed action scene, but then you went into this sort of really elaborate comedy of errors, and it struck me. This is Superman 3. But Superman 3 was directed by a comedy director, and it was done deliberately as a comedy, although no one really realized it at the time. This is like... this is like a Superman 3 of awkwardness.
It felt like somebody tried to make a Deadpool movie for kids and did it terribly.
That's another interesting description of it.
You don't even know who Deadpool is. Why are you doing me?
But the kid bit, I thought it was just made for children.
A little bit of continuity. 12A, the rating in the UK. It's sort of like PG-13-ish, maybe. But, you know, kids can come as long as they're accompanied by an adult, which isn't a thing over here apart from 12A. Like, if a movie's rated 18 over here, R is the equivalent?
No, NC-17. 15 is R.
Okay, NC-17 in the US, I'm pretty sure the law states as long as you're accompanied by an adult that you can go. Over here, if the movie's an 18, nobody under 18 can get in. It was the same way with 12, but whenever the first Spider-Man, Sam Raimi's first Spider-Man was made, it was given a 12, and basically he got responsible for making a new rating called 12A, which is sort of like a 12, but kids can come if they have an adult. So, Spider-Man has a 12A rating, and that's a nice bit of continuity for the now non-canon other Spider-Man films.
This wasn't good. You know, this isn't going up in America until after this, so a lot of people watching this will not have seen it yet. So just let us know, let you know.
It's not good.
Yeah, this is bad.
There's like 5 different films in it. There's the romantic comedy, there's the tragedy, there's Spider-Man versus Dubstep Manhattan.
Dubstep Manhattan, who before he became Dubstep Manhattan was Jim Carrey in Batman Forever.
It totally was!
You have Jamie Foxx playing this character who everyone, you know, he thinks he's not being noticed, but then everyone, and that's fair enough, he's psycho. You know, he's got a mental breakdown.
A mental breakdown that's scored over basically by the Cantana theme from Star Wars. This man's having a mental and emotional breakdown. That's hilarious.
But then everyone else is like, oh yes, no one ever noticed him. You know, he's a completely invisible. He's a nobody. And it's like, okay, maybe he's a nobody, but he's like this 6 foot tall, you know, black guy who's, you know, looks like Jamie Foxx and has a fucking, what do you call it? Comb over. That's not exactly common. He's gonna be noticed. You know, black nerds in film generally are not very common. It's just like, you're making him look really distinctive while at the same time saying no one will ever notice him.
Hell, at the risk of sounding slightly off colour, black people in engineering degrees are still hard to find. This guy was
stereotypically, but it doesn't really matter. It's what matters is him being noticed. And it's like he is noticeable.
The fact that he's a qualified he's a 6 foot tall black guy who's a qualified electrical engineer is pretty uncommon. He's going to be noticed.
I'm just commenting on his looks.
Well,
because to look at him, you wouldn't know that he's got an electrical degree.
It was mentioned several times.
Yeah, I know, but you've got to know the guy to know that, though.
I don't really understand why everybody treated him like shit. He was like, nobody notices me, and then like he's the one guy in the entire Oscorp corporation who stays after closing time.
Yeah, I mean this thing, they're running a big power plant, and it's the guy's birthday, and then it hits 5 o'clock, and there's this big problem, there's power outages, there's fuck-ups going on, and then then they're all like, okay, everyone, we're going off to home, you, Electro, you gotta stay and fix this thing, even though, you know, it's a power plant, so it should be running 24/7. He's the only guy in the fucking building, everyone else clocks off.
And he actually calls up and he's like, hey, I need to work on one of the conduits up here, can you turn the power off? No, I left the building. So there's nobody on the front desk, there's nobody down in control. Literally just him.
This film has massive lapses of fucking logic. Huge!
I'm sorry, I work in a call center. Even my call center has somebody there 24/7 on the desk.
Yeah. You know, the world doesn't stop working at 5 anymore. At some point it did, but not anymore. It's just lots of these little crazy leaps of logic. Like, okay, Norman Osborn is apparently dead of this horrible degenerative disease, and his son's inherited it, and his son's like, oh, I want to get a cure. His dad took 60 fucking years to die from this degenerative disease. His son finds out, he gets at age 20.
And he freaks out, he's like, I'm dying, I need a cure right now.
And then he suddenly, you know, he looks worse than his dad did when he at age 50, about 2 weeks later. This was not necessary. None of this, from a narrative standpoint or a design standpoint.
Hell, having Harry Osborn in this film at all wasn't necessary. The entire film was closed whenever the arc with Elektra was completed. It should have just ended.
Yeah, that's one of the many films going on here. And then you've also got the death of Gwen Stacy, which...
Spoiler, you bitch!
Well, we're already in the spoiler part.
I know, but we didn't say it. We're going to get comics made about us again.
Do you want me to cut that bit out?
No, I just want to apologize for calling you a bitch.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we started talking about exact things. Spoiler area is over.
Gwen Stacy dies.
Well, if you're familiar with the comics, Gwen Stacy always dies. But in the comics, okay, in this film, it is so fucking heavily telegraphed. It's like, out of nowhere, Spider-Man's terrified she's gonna die, and they start seeing visions of Dennis Leary. You know, whenever I see visions of Dennis Leary, I assume I've taken something I shouldn't have taken.
Whenever I see visions of Dennis Leary, I start masturbating furiously.
And then being all like, oh, you ripped off Bill Hicks. Oh, you ripped off Bill Hicks.
But no,
and he's like, Spider-Man's really disappointed because he really wishes he'd see visions of George Carlin or something.
Also, this film fails the Bechdel test, but let's not go into that. It was very obvious Gwen was going to die from the very beginning because she was the valedictorian and she's a blonde-haired girl, and this time she didn't have anything annoying her apart from Peter Parker.
And she was given all these sort of things about how time is running out and how, you know, this thing is like this is a symphony of unsubtle Gwen Stacy is going to die bullshit. What was so amazing about the death of Gwen Stacy in the comics was this was the first time a main character in a comic book had died like that and stayed dead. it was shocking. It marked a change in how comics are done.
It was holy shit. There's consequences.
Yeah, it was like real world physics get involved in a comic book for once, and it kills the main character. In this one, it's just like, this is so fucking obvious, this is gonna happen, and then, it does happen, and then they make the death more comical than the original one. In the original one, she falls, he grabs her with the web on the leg, and the force of her stopping snaps her neck, which is realistic.
In this one, he falls.
And then he gets her on the back, and she don't know if her neck snapped, but her head also hits the ground. And it's like, did you have to make it more obvious than Stan Lee made it more in the 1960s?
Also,
really?
Also, the fucking stupid slow motion bit of the web forming a hand.
Actually, I liked I thought the hand was a nice touch, just for silliness.
Also, even if he had caught her, the giant falling lumps of iron would have decapitated her.
Probably.
She was falling, and then above her, that he shot his web through to catch her, there was like ton bricks of iron that were clock gears, and it's like, no, she's dead one way or the other, you can't save her.
I'm curious as to how Spider, basically, I want to know what happened in the couple of months between her death and then them picking up again, because they find Gwen Stacy there hanging there covered in Spider-Man's web with an exploded sort of clock thing and all that. They're going to do investigations of that stuff. Surely someone would assume Spider-Man killed her.
And let's be honest, Peter Parker has done a shitty job hiding who he is. A shitty job. Oh, he wrote "I love you," then Spider-Man wrote "I love you" on a bridge, then he kidnapped this girl. Who did he lift? This girl called Gwen Stacy, who's her partner, Peter Parker. Well,
Peter Parker, who's selling photos of Spider-Man.
Peter Parker, who's the only guy who manages to get clear shots of Spider-Man.
And then there's like all these video, they're in the middle of Times Square, so when people doing video everywhere, and then you got like Spider-Man with Gwen Stacy. And
Yeah.
it's just like, someone put this together. This is as ridiculous as the Godzilla trailers where they're all like, we gotta find fucking Godzilla. Not really, it's fucking Godzilla. It's hard to miss.
So, did you enjoy the film?
Hi, I am here. LOL. No, yeah. Yes, I kind of did, which is a wee bit bad, but I kind of didn't, which is also okay. But
Were you lost?
no, I actually wasn't lost in this one.
Wow. This is less confusing than 300 Rise of an Empire.
Yeah.
And she has not seen any Spider-Man films, nor any Spider-Man comics, nor Spider-Man cartoons, and
No, nothing.
what was it whenever we asked about what you knew about Spider-Man, you thought he was part spider? And that's all you knew?
He's
And he
part
has a web.
human, part spider, and he has a web and a girlfriend, and he saves people.
Well,
Which
interesting.
it was quite accurate.
Just so you know, right now in the comics, Spider-Man has died being turned into a giant female spider and gave birth to himself.
Okay.
At one point, yes.
Yes.
But say that
Well, he's currently possessed by the ghost of Dr. Octopus.
I thought he was dead and he was replaced by some Arab kid.
No, that's in the Ultimate Spider-Man. In the in the current Spider-Man, Peter Parker's soul was removed from his body, and Dr. Octopus took over his body, and Dr. Octopus was actually trying to become a better Spider-Man, the superior Spider-Man. Although this arc might have ended, but for at least 2 years, Dr. Octopus was Spider-Man.
Well, I actually think these films would have been better with the Ultimate continuity. I think that's how they should have. They shouldn't have completely rebooted it. They should have had Sam Raimi's Spider-Man die, and then
Miles Morales.
yeah, they should have this Amazing Spider-Man being a new guy taking over.
Maybe, or, well, I believe I said this during the Amazing Spider-Man 1 vlog, which was one of the first vlogs we did. What they really should have done was just make the Amazing Spider-Man 4, recast stuff, that's fine. Just remove, like, the obvious continuity issues between the two films.
Yeah, and not have any more Marijuana Watson.
What?
Marijuana Watson, Spider-Man's girlfriend in the previous Spider-Man films.
Oh.
They actually cast her for this film, but they cut her parts out, but they said they're going to use her in the next one.
Oh, that wee blondie girl was pretty.
Spider-Man's original girlfriend is called not
No.
original in the Sam Raimi continuity.
Yes, because Gwen was the original
I know
girlfriend
Gwen
in the
was
comics.
the original girlfriend. Gwen Stacy was in the Sam Raimi ones, but anyway.
Yeah, in the third one.
She was called Mary Jane Watson. Mary Jane means marijuana.
Oh, okay.
There's a massive sea of things that are wrong and complainable about this film.
What the biggest one I have a problem with is the soundtrack. And this, I don't often comment on the soundtracks in these vlogs, But my God, this was one of the worst soundtracks I've ever seen in a film. It was just... I dislike dubstep.
Robyn is a synesthete. That is why they can see soundtracks in a film.
True.
Do you have the heat on?
No, I have the cold on and the AC on. I'm just down.
Doors open.
There we go.
Why is your window not working?
I don't know.
Oh, that's better.
Oh my
Oh, that's
goodness.
so much more useful now that the door's open.
But no, the soundtrack was terrible. It first started bothering me whenever you hear this Spider-Man has the fucking Spider-Man theme as his ringtone. But anyway, there's this new Spider-Man.
Well, to be fair, in Iron Man 1, Tony Stark had the Iron Man theme from the 60s playing for him in his party.
He's supposed to be a cunt.
I know, but that was before he was Iron Man. I think it was before he was Iron Man. But he had like these women, singing the song.
Yeah, but it's not.
I assume that in the continuity of this film, that Spider-Man inspired a song, and he liked the song, and he used it for his ringtone.
But there's this new theme that's very much just based off fanfare for the common man. It's like, ba, 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 and it's just like, fuck off with that! That's okay for Superman, that's okay for fucking, what was it, Robocop? But, fucking no, we don't need super epic stupid themes.
Well,
and then Dr. Krieger, I am German and I will listen to
Dr. Kafka.
Dr. Krieger. I will continue to call him Dr. Krieger intentionally.
Because Dr. Kafka is just too stupid?
No, because Dr. Krieger's an actual doctor from Archer, and I like that show.
Well, they should have called him Dr. Octavius.
Why? He was German, and he's an evil German
He
scientist.
was German and he wore glasses.
And
Clearly
he
is going to be Dr. Octopus at some point, even though he's probably dead, but that won't stop them.
And he listened to Strauss while he was doing his evil experiments.
I'm so lost.
Yeah, I've escaped from Hydra.
But they put
Hail Hydra!
there was a fucking dubstep version of the Blue Danube, and fucking Electric Boogaloo Manhattan Man played fucking Incy Wincy Spider on the dubstep. It's like, aha, the dubstep has been my cue in the soundtrack. Now I'm going to own it in character. So, what? Whenever he's flying about, everybody can actually hear the dubstep?
Yep.
I was fine with the dubstep choice. This is one of the few times I've been fine with it, because dubstep is irritating and electronic.
Yes.
This is perfect for electro.
It was fine until they did the dubstep Blue Danube.
I want to know how he managed to disintegrate his clothing
Yeah.
and then reform it.
That's another problem. Electro's a completely non-corporeal being. He vanishes and he is electricity.
Well, he becomes non-corporeal and then becomes corporeal again
Then why was
without
he-
explanation.
Without explanation, why was he unable to, non-corporeal his way out of a web trap and take damage by being hit in the head with things? What the fuck, Mr. Webb?
And then whenever he
Webb.
whenever he became when he had the costume on, why couldn't they just try to evoke one of the Elektra's original costume, like the fabulous green and yellow one?
Yeah.
They could have made it look a little bit like Batroc the Leaper in Captain America 2. They used the colors and the basic design, but really toned it down.
Yeah. It looked like the costumes out of X1.
It looked a bit like, yeah, but at least in X1 they gave the Wolverine an evocation of his original one, because they had yellow lines in the right way.
Yeah.
So Bryan Singer Bryan Singer doesn't understand a lot about X-Men comic book, the costumes and how they should look, but he understood that much. Fuck you, Bryan Singer, for the Magneto costumes every single fucking time.
Hey, they just look fucking fabulous.
No. X-Men First Class. At the end of it, we got a proper fucking Magneto costume. And then we come back for Days of Future Past, and we not only get Magneto in fucking the black stuff, and then we get young Magneto in an even worse costume than Ian McKellen wore in the first 3 X-Men movies.
If Ian McKellen wants to wear a fabulous purple cape, let him wear a fabulous purple cape.
I was fine with it at the time, but now we actually got a proper Magneto costume, and then just suddenly it's like, aha, I'm taking it away from you because Matthew Vaughn's not in charge. Wah!
It's like, hey, look at this gold brick you could have. Nah, it's shit. Ha!
He understands a lot. That's not one of them.
Oh, man. And then, the movie ended. The movie ended about halfway through. It was fine, it was done. He kissed the girl. He was like, yes, we've saved New York again. And everybody loves Spider-Man now, even J. Jonah Jameson, who wasn't in this movie quite conspicuously.
Well, that's because they're trying to work out whether they should recast J.K. Simmons or not.
They should.
Because J.K. Simmons, who played him in the Tobey Maguire films, he's still playing the part in cartoons and all, so they're like, we can't think of anyone better.
There is nobody better. He was the perfect casting.
So they're like, do we recast? We can't think of anyone else who can play the part, but if we bring him back again, this just confuses continuity and
well,
will
they
make
keep
people's
bringing
heads
back
explode.
Stan Lee as different characters.
We've established this. Stan Lee is the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the other Marvel Cinematic Universe's
And the
version
other one.
of the Watcher. Of Uatu the Watcher. He's in human form, watching all the events.
Well, they brought Uatu through the two continuities, so why not bring J. Jonah Jameson?
He's in all three of the continuities.
I'm talking about both the Spider-Man continuities. Your door's mysteriously ghosting.
Yeah, he's in all of them. But yeah, that's why Spider-Man. Spider-Man is a multiverse creature because he is Uatu the Watcher. His cameo in this was much worse than the one in the first one.
I think I know that guy.
In the Amazing Spider-Man, Stan Lee had the best superhero cameo, except for like Wolverine in X-Men First Class.
The library scene. That was fantastic.
Yeah, it's like perfect. But this one is just like, I can't fucking think of anything, so we'll give you the worst cameo ever possible.
Yeah, you're just a member at a graduation who the camera pans over and stops on for no reason
Yeah, at least the Fox Fantastic Four sequel had him, being refused entry into the thing, which was a little bit amusing, because that happened in the comic as well.
Yeah.
This one is just like, there's no mistaking for Hugh Hefner or Larry King. It's not even the hilarity of seeing him, like, cook sausages on a barbecue on a beach. It's just, Stan Lee's being a tiny bit meta. Woo.
Stan Lee is the guy who invented Spider-Man, by the way. You know the old man who was at the graduation?
I think I know that guy who
Yeah.
was wearing sunglasses. He invented the X-Men, he invented Spider-Man, he reinvented Captain America, he invented Thor, he invented pretty much Iron Man, he invented the Fantastic Four, he invented all of them.
Mm-hmm.
He pretty much was the head writer of Marvel in the 60s when most of these characters were invented.
He has a thing where he's in every Marvel Universe movie as far as he can be.
Well, he says he will not appear in ones that he did not have anything to do with, which is why he says he's not in Guardians of the Galaxy. But then people were commenting, you created Groot the tree, and he's one of the main characters. Why are you not in this, Stan Lee? So hopefully he will turn up.
Yeah, I like Stan Lee.
He's a bit of a dick, taking all the credit when the artist had a fucking lot to do with it, but he does deserve his place in history.
Also, apparently in the Fantastic Four, he just sort of gave them a brief two-line thing and then told them to write it.
Well, it's sort of like it's the Marvel method, because he was writing about 10 comics a month. He would sit down with the artist for each one and say, okay, this is what we're going to do in this story, and they hashed it out together. Then the artist went off and drew it, and then the artist would send it back to him, and he would write in sort of the dialogue and the information about that, and it's called the Marvel method.
No, I heard like specifically for Fantastic Four there was a lot of ghostwriters involved, and he would give them like a two-line summary for what's to happen in the next 3 issues, and they would ghostwrite it.
It's possible, but I've heard the claim that the whole thing about Galactus was basically came from Stan Lee saying, "I want the Fantastic Four to meet God."
Yes.
But that, as far as I know, is actually a myth. So that's why I'm just a little, I don't know.
Well, I can prove
He is a
this.
dick, though, sometimes.
I can prove this neither way, so I'll stick a big allegedly on this.
And that's fair enough. And I say allegedly, it's a bit more detailed than that.
Okay, fair enough. So, there was also a romantic comedy going on in here. That it's like, I want to break up with you. You're not allowed to break up with me. We're in love, Peter. I don't care what my daddy said. And then, Gwen, I love you. I want to break up with you, Peter. I don't like you. I care what my daddy said. And then later, we can just be friends, Peter, but I want to get back together with you. Oh, okay.
This movie was awkward mood swings, the motion picture.
It was like a filler episode of The OC.
You got that reference.
The main characters, the mood swung more than Spider-Man.
Also, terrible CG Spider-Man.
On occasion, yes.
Terrible CG Spider-Man.
Terrible CG everything on occasion.
Although there was a scene with Electro that just really looks like they put this scene in so they could have it as a level in the game, didn't they?
Probably.
The scene where he's chasing Electro around the buildings is like, the man's completely non-corporeal. He can travel faster than the speed of... He can travel at exactly the speed of light. Why are you chasing him at like 10 miles an hour around buildings?
I'm going to try and work out who's going to be in the Sinister Six, because Harry Osborn is setting up the Sinister Six at the end of this for some reason.
Yeah.
And
Dr. Octopus, Falcon, Rhinoceros.
well, not Falcon.
No,
Vulture.
Vulture. Not Falcon.
Vulture is going to be the bald guy. He looks Colin Fiore, perfect for Vulture. That's even better than John Malkovich, who was going to play him in Spider-Man 4 before Sam Raimi bailed.
I really don't like Vulture as a villain.
But he's perfect casting for the part.
Yeah, true.
It's going to be Rhino. It's going to be Green Goblin. It's going to Felicia, clearly Black Cat. Felicia Hardy. Felicia, Harry Osborn's assistant. And there's only like one or two spaces after that. Lizard, maybe. They had Alistair Smythe in there, the guy who got fried through the heart and then died, the black-haired guy. That was Alistair Smythe, the Spider Slayer. So it looks like he won't be in it because he's dead.
I like that Electro is also a defibrillator, sorry. But also, I know why Harry Osborn kept Felicia on as his assistant. It's like, what's your name, Felicio? You're my assistant.
I really want the crazy German doctor to become Dr. Octopus, because then we can have, like, Dr. Nazi Octopus. Plus, again, octopus, that's like the symbol of Hydra.
Hail Hydra!
Yes, I think it is.
It is. It's like a squid thing.
Yeah, so...
with 6 legs for some reason.
Dr. Octopus is in Hydra. At least he should be.
Do us a favour. Let the Spider-Man rights expire and let him go back to the Marvel Studios.
I think that'll happen before we realize... I think it'll happen before most people realize. Because, okay, Marvel Cinematic Universe, there's a lot they can do there. Fox has Fantastic Four and X-Men. They have a lot of movies they can make that are different from each other. Sony has Spider-Man. They're trying to create a cinematic universe with various films and spin-offs and everything with one character and his villains gallery, essentially. This is going to crash and burn. They're going to be relegated.
They don't even have his crossover villains. It's just Spider-Man exclusive villains.
Yeah, they're making a separate Sinister Six movie and a separate Venom movie, and it's like, these are gonna crash and burn. They're gonna go back.
My Shocker movie. Fuck Electro.
They're gonna make. I think he's with Marvel, rights-wise, but out of all of these ones, the one that's gonna first collapse and possibly go back to Marvel, probably after Marvel pays them a bunch of money, will probably, I think, be Spider-Man before Fantastic Four or X-Men.
Although I am liking the X-Men universe at the moment. Days of Future Past looks like it's going to be grand.
Fantastic Four is in the X-Men universe. The new Fantastic Four that they're working on.
I don't like the old Fantastic Fours. Rise of the Silver Surfer was one of the most boring things I've ever sat
Both
through.
of those Fantastic Four films were terrible.
Ow!
Towards the end of this...
Speak. She pulled my hair.
What do
you have to say?
So, you know that wee bit where they went to the train and the Roosevelt thing?
Yes.
I thought that was really, really interesting and it didn't go anywhere.
It
Did
did.
you no, it didn't really.
It just made Spider-Man cry.
Yeah, he found out that his father wasn't actually a fraud that he was made out to be, or whatever. But it didn't go anywhere.
No, yeah,
that was it.
It was a completely unnecessary story arc.
Interestingly enough, that station does exist.
That station was quite cool, and that would have been a better storyline if he had followed through and revealed his father for being a great man or whatever.
That's one of the many stories that they jammed together to make a film. They have 4 or 5 films worth. And none of them were served competently.
But does that not mean that he then could have saved Harry with his blood? No,
it's because it was his father's blood. That's why it was...
That was pretty much confirmation. Your blood won't work.
Because it was compatible with Peter because it was his dad's blood. So basically the spider's related to him in some weird way.
Alright, okay.
It's... The whole thing's really just silly and convoluted. None of that's in the comics, by the way.
No.
As far as I recall, his parents were actually low-level secret agents working for S.H.I.E.L.D.
No, the CIA. It was in retcon to S.H.I.E.L.D.
Ah, okay.
And see that bit with Harry and the neck and needing the injection and stuff to keep him alive. Has that happened in any other film? Has that happened in another Spider-Man?
Where you get the injection?
Because, the whole neck growth and he's going to die and he needs to get something to stop him dying.
As I understand, no, that's completely new for this film.
I swear I have seen that somewhere before. And it's going to bug me until I find out where.
It might be in another film. I don't think it's to do with Spider-Man, though.
I can't recall any film where I've seen that, but I can't also say I haven't.
Rhino at the end is in a gigantic robotic suit, and his mask comes up, and he's, the guy inside it, a la Iron Man, but, rather than a la Iron Man, it's more like a la Iron Man 3, where it's really fucking obvious that the actor was sitting there in a green screen suit, and then they CGI'd the thing over him, because he does not look like he's in the same physical space as the suit around him.
No, he looks like a painting on the front of the armor.
Yeah, it's so fucking bad looking. And Iron Man 3 does this too. It looks so fucking terrible.
That big machine thingy at the end?
Yeah, just use a practical effect around the guy.
Also the police. Oh look, there's a big man there in a big steel power armor suit that looks like a tank rhinoceros. Let's shoot it with 38s. Pew, pew, pew. Nope, nothing's happening. Let's continue to shoot it with 38s. Pew, pew, pew. Hey guys, our bullets are bouncing off this and there are crowds down both sides of the street. Aren't we killing a lot of people with ricochet? Yep. Po, po, po. We've got a lot of 38s.
And then you got the small child in the scene, which... there's a bit with a small child involving Rhino, which is the... Remember the crane scene from The Amazing Spider-Man 1? That's his equivalent in fucking stupidity and I want people to die-ness.
Let's all move the cranes to help Spider-Man. I'm a kid. The supervillain won't kill me because I'm a kid, even though he's just fired 2 separate Gatling guns in all directions, even though he's surrounded by a crowd and has possibly killed about 30 kids.
He was only a child. He wasn't thinking like that. He was thinking he was Spider-Man and he could save the day.
Then the kid deserves to die and be removed from the gene pool for stupidity.
I'm not questioning the morals of the character. I'm questioning the morals of fucking Mr. Webb, who wrote it.
But that is such a stupid thing to do.
write it
'cause
well.
you
Directed
can
it. Fuck him.
Totally picture kids actually going and doing that.
Well, then, in
Like-
my view, the kid should be killed.
To
You just stop advocating the death of children in these videos.
like the wee kid whenever we were
It's a
walking
Darwin
into the
Award
cinema
waiting to happen.
was jumping over the sofa or the seats like Spider-Man would jump over things, and he actually thought he was Spider-Man. That child will die trying to do Spider-Man stunts. He will
Darwin
die.
Award. That kid, if he comes across a giant fucking rhino robot thing that's like bigger than a fucking bus, won't do that. Or if he does, well, he might do that. And if he does, then again, he deserves to die. Because stupidity should not be encouraged.
So, if you're going to invade a city in a giant power suit, here's a tip. Don't remove the power suit from your head and torso to taunt your victims.
Yeah, Iron Man movie makers, think about that as well, please.
That can go down as my crime of the week. Owning a power suit and walking into a city.
Because you own 10 of those and they're hung up in your wardrobe.
Jesus, they're in the basement. My wardrobe's nowhere near big enough for that.
And plus it's on the first floor, so it would fall through
You
out
talk
of heaviness.
So also, a wee thing I picked up on. Do you see whenever, right, I don't know who anybody's called, after the big power station thing when Spider-Man was just like, "Ugh," and there was the wee power box thing and the wee lights went down on it?
Yeah.
Like a wee, it was something off
A
Spider-Man's.
voltmeter.
Oh, and that was an Electro?
Was it?
Yeah, that was part of him.
I thought it was part of Spider-Man and I was like, he's gonna die now. So it wasn't anything to do with
No,
Spider-Man?
that was in Electro's head for some reason.
It was also on his collar at a different point, and then back in his head afterwards.
Because I thought it was something to do with...
I gotta say something nice about the film,
Spider-Man.
though. I will say for something very nice. The design of Electro in the physical makeup of the person, very well done.
Oh yeah, I liked
It
it.
did look like a person who was full of electricity and, you know, gone mental. Well done. Good work. I approve.
And just a wee thing on mental breakdowns. You can have a mental breakdown without suddenly going, I'm now evil and want to kill everyone. Also, I used to talk like this, now I talk like this. In super dramatic pauses. And in a world where everyone is out to get you, one man can end the evil Nazi regime.
Before I came Electro, I totally thought it was Eddie Murphy.
But what we also okay. After this, we saw now. Apparently, only we're getting this. UK, Ireland, are getting this. The X-Men Days of Future Past little clip.
After credits in Spider-Man, what the fuck?
They're not even connected, but I'll explain what happened. Okay, apparently Mark Webb had a deal with Fox to make them a movie, and Mark Webb wanted to make Spider-Man. So they hashed out an agreement saying that he can go off and do Spider-Man before he makes his movie for Fox, as long as Spider-Man advertises a movie for Fox, and that was X-Men and Spider-Man. And I'm guessing Sony, who made Spider-Man, were pretty much put a mini trailer for your film after our film, so people will see your mini trailer after they've already paid to see our one.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, there's literally no downside to this.
That's... I know it's the tradition that films and Marvel universes have an after-credit sequence, but...
They're going to have a completely disconnected one. Oh man, I can't wait until we see Avengers 2, and they're going to have an after-credits thing for Justice League. It's going to be so fucking good.
Well, why don't DC copy it? Why don't we have at the end of the next Superman versus Batman, we're going to have a little after-credits sequence for, I don't know, the Blue Beetle movie.
Because they're not going to make a Blue Beetle movie, because DC are fucking idiots. DC are like, okay, Marvel are doing well with their multiple universe thing. They got Iron Man, they're creating all these smaller characters who are less famous and making them into films, and they're running with it and they're doing very well. However, DC are like,
Batman and Superman!
We need Batman!
We need Superman!
We need Batman to appear in Superman!
Oh, I know. We need to come up with something original. We have this massive pool of lesser-known characters that are all pretty interesting. Why don't we have Batman versus Superman?
And then we'll maybe give Wonder Woman a cameo because the world's not ready for a Wonder Woman movie. For some reason. We're getting Guardians of the Galaxy and Ant-Man and Doctor Strange, but apparently Wonder Woman, who is almost as famous as Spider-Man and Superman and Batman...
she's one of the big things.
That would fucking blow everyone's mind. DC have no fucking idea how to run a cinematic universe, and it's because Warner Brothers run them.
Never mind. Let's just ignore the fact that Black Widow is one of the most beloved characters in the Marvel universe, despite being a woman. We can't have Wonder Woman. She's a woman.
It's be too crazy, apparently, but they're allegedly They're going up their cinematic universe ass backwards because they were like, okay, we're going to set up our own cinematic universe. The first film in it was originally going to be Dark Knight Rises. They were going to try and keep Bale on, but Bale said no. But then they dropped that, and then they're like,
praise the Lord.
And then they were like, Green Lantern is going to be the Kickstarter. It was a flop. You're like, okay, Superman,
Green Lantern.
Then Superman's going to be the Kickstarter, and okay, that's sort of going somewhere because it made money, because it's Superman movie. Superman movies always make money, so they're like, okay, we're going to put Batman in there, and then they're going to work on Justice League, and then afterwards, maybe they're going to give spin-off movies. By the time everyone's going to be like 10 years older.
Wait, we want to do the Justice League movie before we introduce anybody.
No, they're introducing Wonder Woman and Cyborg and stuff as the Justice League in the Batman and Superman movie, probably as the end credits bit.
Well, what about the space station?
I don't know about that, but they're being introduced in a cameo capacity, and then maybe they'll do a Justice League movie, and maybe they'll do spin-off movies.
What's a Justice League movie?
It's the
It's DC's version of the Avengers.
It's got
Batman, Superman, Cyborg,
Wonder Woman, and Green Lantern and all.
and the guy who turns really big for no reason.
And
No,
Spider-Man.
that's Giant Man / Goliath / Ant-Man.
No,
He's
the
in Marvel.
American Indian one.
Apache Chief has nothing to do with the DC Comics. He was a cartoon character.
Hey, I don't read DC Comics. I watch their
I don't
cartoons.
like DC Comics particularly either, but
Batman
I know
the Brave
that.
and the Bold was a good show.
I liked Batman the Brave and the Bold. It was very good. I feel it is I feel it should be considered a sequel to the Adam West show. But,
Absolutely. I love the Adam West show.
But yeah, DC, that's the Batman Superman version of the Avengers,
Okay.
and the guys who run them have no idea how to fucking run a cinematic universe.
I'm Superman. I'm basically unkillable in any way. I'm Batman. I'm killable in lots of ways, but nobody ever seems to work that out.
See, DC realize that Marvel know exactly what they're doing when it comes to films. So like, we're gonna copy you, but we don't quite have the nerve to do that. So we're gonna do the same shit we've been doing forever, and really hope that everyone constantly wants to see Batman and Superman films because that's all we're actually got faith in. Because we're terrified. Oh, Marvel, please don't kill us.
I worked out something else about the film we actually saw today. Spider-Man's supposed to be a wisecracking asshole. He's
Yes,
supposed to be a
in
sarcastic
character, yeah.
bastard in character.
Yeah.
This Spider-Man sounded like a 5-year-old trying to be a sarcastic asshole.
Andrew Garfield, I feel he got that part of Spider-Man's personality down much better than Tobey Maguire.
Oh,
Tobey Maguire.
much better!
Tobey
Maguire.
Hey, Gabby! Blah, 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 blah. But Tobey Maguire got Peter Parker more accurate. He's supposed to be a complete nerd and who turns into a sarcastic bastard when he is Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's like a personality lift. No. I credit Andrew Garfield. He's a brilliant actor for this part. I think he's very well cast. I just feel that the writers don't know how to write sarcasm.
Possibly.
Also, I don't like his hair.
He's got very tall hair. He's got Egon Spengler hair.
Also, Harry Osborn in this, I think he looks a lot more like what Harry Osborn would look like as a rich, spoilt brat.
He looks like Peter Parker in Spider-Man 3. It was very apt. And he turned evil for no reason at all, just like Peter Parker in Spider-Man 3.
You've been finishing each other's sentences.
Oh, we finish each other's sandwiches, baby.
Okay, we've been talking about this for a bit too long.
Yeah.
Let's wrap up. We saw the X-Men Days of Future Past trailer, not the new one. We saw the mid one. The new one, which has the most terrible audio editing I've ever fucking heard when it comes to people's sentences. Listen to it carefully. Some sentences are made up from like 4 or 5 different scenes. The audio editing is terrible.
So is there going to be 2 new X-Men movies?
No, there's one, but this is a different trailer.
Ah, right.
We saw the second trailer. The third trailer's online right now.
Yeah.
We also saw a trailer for Tom Cruise as in a Groundhog Day dystopia.
Oh, that looks stupid.
Hey, you like Groundhog Day. You
Well,
like dystopias.
Yeah,
Teddy
but
and-
that film looks stupid.
Teddy and Neil said that's based on a Japanese book that they were obsessed with, and I remember them talking about this Japanese book and being excited that they were going to make a movie out of it. So
Oh, okay.
it's apparent they like it. We'll go to see it hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
Although I really think we should maybe rename this thing as we watch superhero movies and horror movies. 'Cause that's all we see.
Let's go see a chick flick.
We saw Magic Mike,
Please, can we go see Postman Pat the movie? Please.
possibly.
Postman Pat. Postman
Anyway.
Pat. That's my childhood.
Final thoughts, dear?
Postman Pat's hot. No, I actually quite liked it for my first Spider-Man movie, but it was a wee bit shit as well.
Before we see Days of Future Past, we're going to marathon the X-Men.
Well, you two are.
No,
I got the box set of of all of them except for the second Wolverine movie. If you want to borrow it.
I've got so much to
I have
watch.
the box
my
set
head's
of
going
X1,
to
2, and
explode.
3, and I have the DVD of what you call it?
X-Men Origins.
Explode.
We're not watching Origins.
Is it not
But you
on
said you're going to
Netflix?
marathon them.
That's not in canon anymore. Wolverine is not a lumberjack.
Well,
He's an ancient
just saying-
Japanese man.
I was just saying, I have the box set of all the films up to the Wolverine, and I'm going to replace it with the one with the Wolverine at some point, but or Days of Future Past. But you
Really?
can borrow it if you want.
I meant X1, 2, 3 in first class.
Why 3?
Because it's still in canon.
It's terrible. Is it in canon? Professor Xavier exploded and then was put into a new body, which had the use of his legs, and at the end of the Wolverine, he's suddenly in a wheelchair again, as though he never exploded and never got a new body, which had the use of his legs.
Yeah.
Canon left the building when it comes to the X-Men movies a long time ago.
Well, we will watch them so she will be more informed. It's an education. It's not about enjoyment.
Well, then
I
make
might
a-
appear to be less stupid. I watch them.
you don't appear stupid. You just appear uninformed.
But if,
Yes.
if you're going to watch X3, you should watch X-Men Origins Wolverine as well.
But I never managed to finish it. It was too difficult.
You want to torture?
You torture me enough.
No, you torture him.
Oh, by watching it?
Yeah, X-Men Origins.
Okay.
See? There you go.
Okay, so this new Spider-Man movie, it's
It's more for made for children. To
It's-
entertain children and make them think they're Spider-Man.
it's very aimed at children. It's not like the Marvel Studios films where it's like kids might enjoy this, but it's really for fans of the comics.
Mm.
I wouldn't really quite call this made for children. It's slightly more kiddified than the Amazing Spider-Man 1, I will say that. But I don't think it's quite made for children. It got the mix of childish and adult a little bit wrong. And I'm really glad it sets most of its stuff at night, because the CGI is much more glaringly obvious during the day. CGI is still not better than that.
I don't know, if you want to see a good Spider-Man film, go and see Spider-Man 2, not the Amazing Spider-Man 2.
It was still worth a watch, though, I think.
Or go and watch the 70s Spider-Man cartoon, because it's fucking brilliant.
Well, that's the 60s Spider-Man cartoon, isn't it?
I don't know.
The 70s one was the live action where he fought ninjas all the time.
Oh yeah, the cartoon, whichever decade it came from.
Spider-Man fighting ninjas in LA. Do you want to see
I'll just watch Postman Pat.
Goodbye.